They thought they had abandoned an orphan to a monster, but they never imagined the monster was the one meant to save her. If only they knew who the beast truly was. You're watching African Stories That Touch. The beast rose slowly from the forest floor. Pain tore through his body with every movement, yet something stronger pulled him forward. Not anger, not revenge, recognition. In all the years the forest had imprisoned him, no human had ever touched him with kindness except her. And now her voice drifted faintly through the trees, weak, frightened, calling for help. Darkness settled slowly around the orphan. At first, she did not move. Pain throbbed through her ankle where she had landed, sharp enough to steal her breath each time she tried to stand. Above her, the opening of the hollow looked impossibly far away, a broken circle of fading light tangled in roots and hanging vines. "Help!" she called weakly. Her voice climbed upward and vanished. No answer came back, only the distant whisper of wind moving through leaves. She tried to climb. Her fingers gripped exposed roots, pulling herself upward inch by inch, but the soil crumbled beneath her weight. Loose earth rained down, dragging her back to the ground. Dust filled her lungs. This time, she did not try again. Fear arrived quietly. Not panic, realization. They were not coming back. The forest grew still as evening approached. Shadows stretched along the walls of the hollow until darkness wrapped fully around her. Hunger followed, then thirst, and with them came memories she had buried deep. Her mother's laughter, warm evenings beside the fire, a home that no longer existed. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not for the pain, not even for the betrayal, but for the loneliness that seemed to find her everywhere she went. She hugged her knees tightly and listened to her own breathing. For a long time, there was nothing else. Then, softly, she began to sing, a small song her mother once hummed while washing clothes by the river, a melody meant to comfort restless hearts. Her voice trembled at first, fragile against the vast silence, but slowly it steadied. The song rose into the night air, carried between trees, through roots, across unseen paths. Far away, the beast lifted his head. He had been moving slowly through the forest, each step heavy with pain from the attack. Blood darkened his fur. Every breath burned his chest. Then he heard it. A human voice, soft, familiar, kind. He froze. The song reached him again, fragile, hopeful, alive. Recognition stirred deep within him. He turned toward the sound. Branches snapped beneath his weight as he moved faster, ignoring the pain tearing through his body. The forest seemed to open before him, guiding him toward the voice that had once touched him without fear. Back in the hollow, the orphan's singing weakened. Her throat had grown dry. Sleep pulled at her eyes, heavy, dangerous. She leaned against the wall, her voice fading into a whisper. Above her, leaves rustled. She barely noticed. Then soil loosened, roots trembled. A shadow crossed the opening. She froze. Heavy breathing echoed downward. The earth suddenly shifted as powerful claws tore into the sides of the hollow, ripping away soil and roots. Moonlight flooded inside as the opening widened. The orphan shielded her eyes. And then she saw him. The beast! Fear returned instantly. "This is how I die," she whispered. But no teeth came, no fury, only gentle arms reaching down. Carefully, slowly, he lifted her as though she was something fragile, something precious, something worth saving. Warmth surrounded her as he carried her out of the hollow and into the cool night air. The forest smelled different above ground, alive with damp earth and distant flowers. The beast set her down gently beside a fallen tree and stepped back at once, watching her cautiously, as though afraid she might fear him now. She stared at him, still trying to understand. "You came back?" she whispered. The beast lowered his gaze. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The night breathed quietly around them. Then he turned and disappeared into the trees. Panic flickered across her face, but before it could grow, he returned, carrying broad leaves folded carefully into a bowl filled with water. He knelt, slowly, offering it to her with both hands. She hesitated. His golden eyes held no hunger, no anger, only concern. Carefully, she accepted the leaves and drank. Cool relief spread through her body, loosening the tightness in her chest. She exhaled softly. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. The beast said nothing. He simply moved a short distance away and sat, alert, watching the forest instead of her, guarding her from dangers she could not see. Above them, the moon rose silently between the branches. And for the first time since entering the forest, the orphan did not feel alone. Unseen by both of them, the ancient trees swayed gently, as though the forest itself approved of what had begun. Because destiny does not always arrive with trumpets or crowns. Sometimes it begins with kindness shared between two wounded souls beneath a quiet sky. Morning arrived gently. Soft sunlight filtered through the trees, painting the ground in shifting gold and shadow. Birds returned cautiously, their songs uncertain, as if asking permission to sing again. The orphan stared awake beside a small fire she did not remember lighting. Across from her, the beast sat exactly where she had last seen him. He had not slept. She could tell by the stillness in his posture, by the way his golden eyes followed every small movement she made, watching, protecting. For a moment, fear returned, a reminder of what he was. But the feeling faded quickly, because monsters did not gather fruits and place them carefully within reach. Monsters did not keep watch through the night. "You stayed," she said softly. The beast tilted his head, uncertain how to respond. When she tried to stand, pain shot through her ankle. Before she could fall, he moved instantly, steadying her with careful hands, gentle, hesitant, as though his strength might hurt her. "Thank you," she whispered. Something shifted in him. His shoulders tightened. He looked away toward the trees. Days passed without counting. He showed her where clear water slipped between smooth rocks. He brought unfamiliar fruits and fish from hidden streams. When storms came, he guided her into a cave hidden behind falling water, where rain sounded distant and harmless. They spoke little, yet the silence between them never felt empty. At first, she asked many questions. "Why can you understand me? Have you always lived here? Are there others like you?" Each time, he only looked into the distance, as though words belonged to another life he could barely remember. Slowly, trust grew. She laughed again, quietly at first, then freely. She braided flowers into her hair and spoke about her childhood, her mother, and a loneliness that felt heavier than hunger. He listened, always listened, and for the first time in years, neither of them felt like strangers to the world. One evening, as sunset painted the sky deep orange, she noticed something new. He was trembling, not from fear, from struggle. His breathing grew uneven, his claws digging into the earth as though resisting something inside himself. "Are you hurt?" she asked, stepping closer. He backed away quickly, shaking his head. A low growl escaped him, not directed at her, but at whatever battled within him. That night he did not come near the fire. He remained at the edge of the clearing, restless, pacing beneath the moon until dawn. And the next night was worse. Branches snapped as he moved through the forest in agitation. Birds fled, small animals scattered. Even the air felt tense, as though the forest itself sensed approaching change. The orphan watched quietly. Worry settled deep inside her chest. "You are hiding something," she said gently the following evening. He froze. For the first time since she had known him, he spoke clearly. "You must leave." His voice was rough, unused, shaped by years of silence. Her eyes widened. "You can talk." He turned away. "Danger, coming." "I'm not afraid of you," she said softly. But he shook his head violently. "You should be." The words lingered between them. As days passed, the forest itself seemed restless. Winds changed direction without warning. Nights grew colder. Even the moon appeared sharper, watching from above like a silent witness counting down unseen moments. On the eve of his 25th birthday, the change came. It began with a roar that shook leaves from the trees. The beast collapsed to his knees, claws digging deep into the earth as pain tore through him. His body trembled uncontrollably, muscles tightening and releasing as though two forms fought for control. "Go!" he shouted, voice breaking between human and beast. "Leave before I hurt you." She hesitated, tears filling her eyes. "I won't abandon you." "Go!" he roared again, louder this time, forcing her backward. Fear finally pushed her into the trees. Hidden behind thick roots, she watched helplessly as he thrashed through the clearing, destroying branches and stones alike, battling a curse she could not understand. Then suddenly, silence. The forest stilled. Slowly, she stepped forward. The beast lay motionless on the ground. Moonlight rested upon him gently. "No," she whispered, rushing to his side. She knelt beside him, shaking his shoulder. No response. His breathing was faint, almost gone. Tears blurred her vision. All the loneliness she had carried, all the kindness he had shown, all the quiet moments they had shared rose within her at once. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You stayed when everyone else left." Her tears fell onto his fur. Thinking life was slipping away from him, she leaned forward and pressed a soft kiss against his forehead, not out of hope for magic, not for reward, but out of gratitude, out of love she did not yet understand. The forest inhaled. Light burst outward, warm, blinding, alive. The ground trembled as fur receded, claws withdrew, and the shape before her changed beneath the glow of moonlight. She stumbled back, shielding her eyes. When the light faded, a man lay where the beast had been. Tall, scarred, breathing deeply for the first time as though waking from a long dream. Slowly, his eyes opened, and when they met hers, recognition filled them, gentle, human, and full of wonder. "Kemi," he said softly. Her name. He knew her name. And in that moment, the curse that had ruled two lives finally broke. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The orphan stared, her breath unsteady, as the stranger slowly sat upright. Moonlight rested upon his face, revealing eyes she already knew, the same golden eyes that had watched her with quiet patience beside countless fires. Only now they were human. "You!" she whispered, unable to finish the thought. He looked at his hands as though seeing them for the first time. Fingers, no claws. Skin, no fur. Wonder and disbelief crossed his face before his gaze returned to her. "The curse," he said softly, his voice clearer now. "It is gone." Understanding dawned slowly between them, like sunrise. "You were," her voice trembled, "the beast." He nodded. "And you," he added gently, "are the reason I am free." The forest seemed to sigh around them, leaves rustling softly as if releasing a secret long kept. Morning found them walking side by side along a path that felt strangely familiar to him, though he had not walked it in human form since childhood. Birds followed overhead, singing louder than before, and sunlight reached places once hidden by shadow. The forest no longer felt like a prison. It felt like farewell. Days later, the gates of Azunaya appeared in the distance. Farmers were the first to see them. At first, they stared only at the young man dressed in simple forest cloth, walking with the orphan everyone believed dead. Then, recognition spread slowly, like ripples across water. Messengers ran ahead shouting, "The prince! The prince has returned!" The palace erupted into confusion and disbelief. Guards rushed forward, stopping abruptly as the young man approached with calm certainty. Inside the courtyard, the king stepped forward slowly, fear and hope battling in his eyes. For years, he had imagined this moment only in dreams. "My son," he whispered. The prince knelt. "Father." The king's staff slipped from his hand as emotion overcame him. He pulled his son into a tight embrace, tears falling freely, not as a ruler, but as a father who had mourned a child still living. The queen wept openly, holding both of them as though afraid they might disappear again. Only after the joy settled did the king notice the maiden standing quietly beside them. "The maiden," he said gently, "we were told you died in the forest." She lowered her head respectfully. "The forest did not kill me, Your Majesty," she said softly. "It revealed the true enemies of the kingdom." And before the people, she told everything: the journey, the disappearances, the wounded beast, the kindness shared, and finally, the betrayal. Whispers spread among the people as the remaining maidens were summoned. They entered confidently at first, expecting praise as before, but their smiles faded when they saw the orphan standing alive beside the prince. Fear replaced pride. The prince's voice remained calm, yet carried undeniable authority. "You were sent to find me. Instead, you chose wickedness. No one denied it." The king's face hardened. "In Azunaya," he declared, "betrayal of the innocent carries a heavy price." The maidens who abandoned her, along with the stepmother whose jealousy began it all, were banished beyond the Red River, stripped of honor and name. In the weeks that followed, the kingdom prepared for a celebration greater than any before. Drums echoed once more across the land, but this time they carried not hope, but certainty. On the day of the wedding, the village gathered beneath bright banners and colorful decorations. Elders blessed the union. Children sang. Women danced joyfully as the prince placed a crown gently upon the orphan's head. The girl once sent away as unwanted now stood before the people as queen. Not chosen for beauty, not chosen for ambition, but chosen because she showed kindness when no reward was promised. As the celebrations continued, The prince leaned toward her and whispered softly, "In the forest, you saw a monster and still chose compassion." She smiled gently. "In the forest," she replied, "I saw someone who needed kindness." And so, peace returned to Azunaya. Years later, elders would tell this story beside evening fires, reminding young hearts of a truth older than kingdoms themselves. Sometimes, the world sends you into dark places believing you will disappear. And sometimes, the one abandoned in darkness becomes the light that changes everything. Because destiny does not always arrive wearing a crown. Sometimes, it waits quietly until kindness sets it free.